You are watching ILFL Soccer Nights.
Sponsored by Hawk and Eagle.
Welcome back. You're watching ILFL Soccer Night on TV. Last Sunday was a cup week. We've just seen in the previous segment Brick Lane versus London Tigers. London Tigers won that game by 7-1. The next game we're going to feature is between Newark and Beaumont. Let's see the highlights and see how both teams got on.
No, it was a really good game. First half it was very difficult. The weather conditions, the wind wasn't in our favour, and we had to really grind it out. Newark really came at us, and it was difficult first half. And we knew if we can get a 0-0 at half time, the weather conditions were in our favour, and we could actually go on and try and win the game, and it worked in our favour. So yeah, it was a really good game, really good result, and we're just happy to be in the final.
Yeah, just had to echo what Dan said. Very difficult in the first half, really windy. Ball was swirling all over the place. Second half, we knew if we get the 0-0, the first half would be right in the second half. It was really, really tough. They played really, really well, really, really good game.
Very, very young team.
Yeah,
they really came at us,
yeah,
and it was very hard to deal with them.
Versus Beaumont, semi-final of the League Cup sponsored by Tower Hamlets Homes. The youngsters of Newark kept Beaumont at bay for the first half, but they were too strong physically, and the score ended up being 2-0 to Beaumont. Rashid, what's your take on the game?
Well, first of all, it wasn't the best of matches, unfortunately, because of the high wind. Both teams were struggling to play good football. It was hard to pass the ball around, play on the pitch. So credit to both teams for trying their best. But I think on a fair, there wasn't many chances created as well. So on overall, I think Beaumont just edged it and they took their chances. I think the difference was when the manager made the changes up front. When Larry went up front, he actually scored a goal and created second. And I think those are key differences. But there wasn't many chances because of the way the weather. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best of games. But main thing is Beaumont are in the final now.
Do you think Beaumont, being the more experienced and physical team, had that edge over Newark?
I think the physical presence did help, and I think that's what the manager looked at and made the changes. And I think he showed, especially the second half when Larry went up forward, and I think made a difference. But said main thing is to win the game, and they've done the business, and they're in the final now.
We've got two massive clubs in the final, London Tigers and Beaumont. Let's bring you in here, Nurul Bhai. What are the prospects of the final? Is that mouth-watering or what?
If anybody's free on that night, come down to watch a beautiful game. It is going to be a very, very competitive firework. It's going to be the best game of the season. I could assure you of that.
Beaumont?
I think so. I think even before the press, I think both teams were confident they're going to get in the final, and I think both teams were up for it. I know Taz made a comment last week saying Beaumont was an easy game. I think the players are up for it, so hopefully, come a final, Beaumont's players will be looking forward to responding back to Taz's comments.
Well, there you go. There's a treat for everybody out there. The date is to be announced yet, but the final of the League Cup sponsored by Tower Hamlets Homes is between London Tigers and Beaumont, two massive clubs, two very, very good sides with a lot of cup pedigree. So I think it's going to be, like Nurul Bhai said, firecrackers on the day. Now, there was only one game on Sunday in the. Obviously, if you take a look at the screen now. If you take a look at the slides on the screen now, it's the scores for the semi-final are there. Brick Lane 1, London Tigers 7. We seem to have a bit of a technical glitch with the slides. Oh, I think it's up now. Yeah, if we take a look at the screen now, yeah, as you saw on the highlights, Brick Lane 1, London Tigers 7. Newark 0 and Beaumont 2, that was a League Cup semi-final. There was only one game in the Premiership, and that was between Bromley and Ireland. Bromley really needed to win to keep up the chase for second place, and rightly they've beaten Ireland 4-1. If we quickly take a look at the league table as things stand, as we know, London Tigers were crowned the champions last Sunday. They finished the season on 35 points. The teams below still have some games left. And the race really now is between Bromley and Stepney for that second place. So we'll see. Bromley have one game to go, and Stepney have 3 games left. Stepney, of course, are also in the Interleague Champions Cup. And at the bottom of the table, we can see Newark and Sire, who have 4 games and 3 games respectively. Now, if we can quickly bring in Mohammed Nurul Haq. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's your first one. If you don't know Nurul, and I'm sure all of you do, he's a man of many talents. He puts a lot of time in for the community with his clubs. But recently he has also joined the ILFL as the vice chair. So I think a big welcome from the ILFL on that. Just a very quick question, Nurul. How do you feel being the vice chair, and what are the challenges for you?
Tower Hamlets Football Club is one of the founder members of ILFL when we first established ILFL, and to have the opportunity to be the vice chair of the league, you know, it gives me the opportunity to work with you guys and push the league to another level. Obviously, I'm involved with other football teams and other leagues. I could bring that in, bring the summer league in as well, and move it.
Which we'll quickly talk about later on. What do you think are the challenges that ILFL faces, and you know, what skills can you bring? Obviously, your networking, your teams with Tower Hamlets and other things. What can you bring to the table for the ILFL?
I mean, if you look at the other leagues around London, which is the competition of these leagues, and the teams that's participating, and the teams that we've got in our league, which is very competitive, but if you look at the difference in the table-wise as well, you look at the bottom half of the table and top half of the table, if we now could extend the divisions and bring in a few more quality teams to, you know. Okay,
well, like I said, very welcome to Nurul. I'm sure there's a lot of challenges up ahead for the ILFL and for Nurul. Now, just quickly touching on the rest of the teams, we know Rashid Stepney are in the semi-final of the Interleague Champions Cup. They're fighting for second place. They're the champions of last season. What are their prospects for the next few games?
I think it is still second place is up for grabs, because obviously next year we're looking at Interleague Champions Cup qualification. I think the first top two will qualify. So I think Bromley and Stepney are still fighting for that elusive second place, which is a massive deal to play in the Champions Cup. Similar to the League Cup, Beaumont were interested in playing in next year's Champions Cup, so being in the final will give them the opportunity. So for Stepney, they're in the semi-final of the Interleague Cup, but to be qualified for next year is a big issue. So I think the second place is still up for grabs. Both Bromley and Stepney are going to give tooth and nail to fight for that position.
Okay. Well, on Sunday we had a full complement of the first division. So if we take a look at the screen for the results of the first division, and they were as follows. Lotus played St Catherine's and lost 4-0 to them. Bromley Juniors and Leytonstone was a very close game, and Leytonstone just edged that game and won 2-1. SCTA really drummed Bow 7-0. I think that game was more or less won in the first half with a 6-0 scoreline. West End beat Stepney B 3-0. Weavers narrowly lost to Badet, and Hilltown again a very upsy, up and down, topsy-turvy season for them. They've lost 13-1 to Tower Hamlets, who are flying high and currently second in the division. If we quickly take a look at the screen, we can see that West End are still sitting at the top of the league with 41 points. Tower Hamlets 39 and Leytonstone on 38. If we can bring you here, gents, it's a very, very close competitive edge at the top, isn't it?
I think that's why Division 1 is very interesting. From day one, it's been that close within the top three. So I think it's still early to call, because one slip and the other two will overtake. Nurul being here, your team's second place. What do you think, realistically, your chances of overtaking West End?
I mean, I could see a big game there with West End and Burdett. I mean, they're looking to obviously take the league as well. I mean, they've got a chance to take the league as well.
They have,
if any of us slip. And looking at West End still got a game with Burdett.
That could be decided.
And they've got to play SCTA
and they're going to play SCTA as well, which, you know, they're in form as well. So
saying that, though,
one of these sleep, we've got
saying that West End, for me, the way they play is I'm very impressed. I like the way they play. They're very professional. They're very fit. When they beat Stepney, I was watching the second half of the game. Stepney be a very young side, yet they look more tired than West End. And that's why I like West End. They're fit and they play good football.
Oh, they're a young team. I mean, the only thing that really I've seen, and we played them twice, we beat them twice, and physically, I mean, that's where they really need to look into, you know, to strengthen the team and to move up to Premiership. This is where they need to look into getting a few players in where they could have that help and that edge, physical presence. Yeah. Other than that, these guys are skillful.
Talking of the Premiership, if we bring you in, Nurul, out of those 4 or 5 teams from West End to SCTA, which teams would you like to have added to the Premiership, and why?
Okay, as Tower Hamlets, obviously, because we know they got the backing of another
massive
club. They
club.
deserve to be in the Premier Division.
And they've got Nurul behind them.
Yeah, they deserve to be in the Premier Division. The West End, yep, they're going to be there on their playing ability. But as Nurul also said, they need to physically beef up their team. Leytonstone is another big club. They shouldn't be in the first division. They're their Premier Division club. So next year, the Premier Division is going to be one awesome league. And because of these teams, the players that the top teams are attracting are semi-pro Saturday players, quality players the top teams are attracting.
Great. Thank you, Nurbai. Well, we wish West End, Hamlets, Leytonstone and even Burdett all the luck for the rest of the season. Stay with us. We've still got the Vets League to wrap up and a few more things to discuss. We'll be back soon.
You are watching ILFL Soccer Nights.
Sponsored by Hawk and Eagle.